It's time for another installment of Flashpoint. This week, Justin Warmoth talks with the Second Harvest Food Bank of Central Florida.
Good morning, I'm Justin Warmoth. Well, kids are enjoying their summer break right now, and while students enjoy that vacation and of course that homework free time, a number of them are facing challenges. That's why one organization is getting results to make sure kids get the brain food that they need. And joining us today on Flashpoint is Karen Broussard. She's the Vice President of Agency Relations and Programs at the Second Harvest Food Bank.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you so much for being here this morning
to talk about this.
Of course, you guys do so much for folks here in Central Florida, but summer is such an important time for you guys. Can you talk about why?
Well, summer is really important because one of the things that we're really concerned about at the food bank, and we're so aware of, is the fact that there are so many children in the community who rely on school breakfast and lunch during the school year, who for all of those 10 or whatever weeks there are in the summer, those meals are not there for them. And we are really concerned about that, and so we work very hard to get meals to those children.
How many are we talking about? Like, how many students are affected?
Well, I can tell you, like in Orange County, for instance, there are 115,000 kids who are on the free or reduced breakfast and school lunch program. In the state, it's more like nearly 300,000 children.
Wow.
So when you move it down to our area, it's about 115,000, and that's just in Orange alone. And of course, we serve 6 counties. So that number expands tremendously over the summer, and we're really worried about the nutrition that those kids are or are not getting during the summer. It's a real problem.
So how do you guys go about doing this?
Right. So we are sponsors of the Summer Food Program, which is a program of the federal USDA program, agency actually, and it comes down to us through the Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services in Tallahassee. It allows us to feed about, we're feeding about 3,500 kids every day. So, and they are getting a hot meal delivered to them, and these are mostly to children who do not have access to a school because they don't. There's no bus service. Obviously, their parents may not have transportation, and so we're taking our meals, those 3,500 meals a day, out into community centers or into low-income, maybe apartment complexes or mobile home parks, and we actually trailer the food in with a food truck.
And I know we're talking about summer obviously right now, but this is something that you guys deal with too during winter break as well.
Yeah, we do.
And you guys go about helping them in the same kind of fashion, I believe, right?
Yeah, we do. So during the school year, we also, these same children who are at risk of food insecurity and hunger, we also wonder and know that some of them may not be getting a meal when they get home from school. So they got maybe a meal or two at school earlier in the day, and then, you know, 3, 4, 5, 6 hours go by going home. So we do an after-school program. We call it our Kids Cafe program. And we're serving really a lot of children in those programs after school every day.
Talk about the difference a meal makes in helping a child focus in class. It's imperative. It's
absolutely imperative. It's very foundational. For a child who does not have adequate food, does not have a meal every 3 or 4 hours with the proper nutrition, it's got to have some nutritional bulk to it. It can't be just chips and soda.
Absolutely.
You know, that has a lot to do with a child's initial brain development, for one thing. A child who's hungry or food insecure can't think about anything but being hungry or food insecure. They cannot concentrate. They suffer what's called hunger-related toxic stress. I mean, so there are a lot of real serious problems. They also feel very stigmatized because they're hungry, because they don't have enough food at home, and that further distracts them from being able to focus on their studies or any kind of academic achievement. So on a lot of fronts, it's a problem.
Well, sit tight. Let's take a quick break.
Absolutely.
Gotta pay some bills. But coming up, we'll talk about how the people behind the scenes of the Second Harvest Food Bank are able to help so many kids here in Central Florida. Stay with us.
Nick.
Welcome back to Flashpoint. Our guest today is Karen Broussard from the Second Harvest Food Bank, and today we're talking about its summer food service program, and it's such an important program for so many families. So many kids rely on this. Talk about where this idea came from.
So really back in the 60s, when there was a recognition that it would be a great idea to be feeding children who were lower income, who probably did not have access to the right amount of food and nutrition that they needed, to feed them lunches and breakfast at school. In the beginning, it was just lunches. And then there was a recognition of exactly what we said before, which is, what are these kids eating in the summer? And so the federal government then did a pilot of 3 years to test whether or not providing or making meals available in the summer would work, and it's lasted ever since and had many, many, many improvements.
Yeah, let's talk about those improvements.
Yeah.
You know, it's been so long, it's such a long-standing thing. Talk about what it was and what it is now, and the change that you guys have made to accommodate so many children.
Sure. Well, it was only a few short years ago that we actually were only providing summer meals to about 25 sites every summer. And in the last few years, Second Harvest, with the great generosity of the community and a lot of vision and foresight, have been able to actually launch a program that we call Meals for Good, and it's a bulk meal production program that's really targeted on children's meals. And so we now have a full production facility where we are actually producing upwards of 8,000 meals a day across the year. And these are healthy foods. They follow nutritional guidelines. They are served hot. They're complete meals. We do focus groups with kids so we know whether they like it or not, and we find out what they don't like and what they do like, and we make the changes accordingly.
Yeah.
So
many moving
we're very
parts.
proud of that.
So many moving parts. A lot of folks that don't get seen.
Yep.
Talk about some of those companies, people who make this all happen.
Yes. So, you know, the food that we use for those meals, and we don't ever want anybody to be confused about this, the food that goes into those meals that we produce at Second Harvest, that's purchased food. That's purchased raw products. So we are supporting private industry in the community on a regular basis. But we also, to get those many meals made every day and then out the door around 7:30, and then across different time periods across the day, we have a great staff, but we have amazing volunteers that come in to our place at 5:30 every morning, and they start assembling these meals that have been pre-thought, pre-prepared, so to speak. We begin heating them, and then a whole nother crew is loading up these trailers and food trucks to set them on the road, and they go all around to Lake County now. We're in Brevard County, where we do use an outside vendor for those foods, Seminole County, Orange County, and Osceola County. So we're really feeding kids all over the area.
A well-oiled machine.
It is a busy oiled machine,
and
right?
you guys call it the Summer Food Service Program.
That's correct.
And there are other programs like this. We touched on the one that you guys try to accommodate the kids during winter break and after school.
Right.
Anything else?
Really, for children, those are the big ones for children, although holidays, you did just mention that. We do a major mobile food drop on the first Saturday of winter break for Orange County schools, and then we send out big semi-trucks full of pallets of food with lots of fresh produce, fruit, vegetables to those schools to sort of help those families through those 2 weeks that school's out.
Like you were just saying, the food drives are so important for how you guys do your business and are able to make your businesses. You guys do quite a few
we do.
drives?
We do a lot of food drives, and really we have a lot of organizations in the community that are doing food drives for us. But we are part of two major food drives during the year. There's the Boy Scout food drive in the fall, and in the spring we have the national. We're part of the National Letter Carriers food drive, and that brings an enormous amount of food into the community that's needed, and then we just send that out through our amazing network of about 550 feeding programs that are partners with us in the community.
I know the main focus of our conversation is on the kids and helping them out, but how else does Second Harvest Food help economically challenged families make it?
Yeah, sure. So part of it is through our network of those partner agency feeding programs across the community. The vast majority of them are food pantries that are open and distribute food at no cost to families. We know that if you can get good, healthy food or any food into a family, really, you're also going to feed their children. 40% of the people served from our food pantry are children.
Wow.
So it's a big number. We've got a lot of responsibility in the community to make sure that we keep these kids and their families healthy.
It's just one less thing to have to worry about as they're trying to make ends meet.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So important.
Yeah.
I know a lot of folks at home are probably wondering, hey, you know, I'd love to get involved in something like this,
Sure.
Help out any way I can, or maybe they need to have the service
Sure.
come to them. Talk a little bit about what those processes are.
Yeah, sure. So if you want to volunteer, certainly go on our website. I'll give you the website.
Sure.
It's www.feedhopenow.org.
Okay.
It's a very well laid out, easy to navigate website, and you'll see there a field for volunteers. Your calendar will come up. You can come in and you can volunteer anytime. If you want to do a food drive, that also is on the website, and we'll help you do that if you need help with that. But if you need food, you certainly can also either go on the website. You can use your phone, or you could just call 407-295. 1066, and we will help you find a food pantry that is as close to you as possible that's distributing food.
So important. So many kids relying on you guys, and you guys are doing so much good for the community, and we really appreciate it. Really getting results for Central Florida. That's how we operate here.
Thank you, and
getting results.
Thank you for letting us
tell
everybody who can listen.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Karen, for being here from the
Thank you.
Second Harvest Food Bank of Central Florida. And, you know, we're going to have more news and weather. You won't be here, but our
I'll
lovely
be out
cast will be here in just a few minutes. Stay
Okay.
with us.